Grief most time takes a toll on people and forces them to make desperate decisions. This was exactly the situation Franklin found himself in after his beloved daughter passed away. With his eyes puffed from weeping, he decided to check his phone that was connected to the camera in his daughter's coffin. He missed her so much and he wanted to see her one last time, just one last time. But what he would find would be the greatest shock of his life that would change everything. Hey there, Viral Videos here. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button and click the notification bell. We post the most beautiful, amazing, and scary videos every single day. Let's proceed with the video. Franklin was a veteran in the army. He had served his country with honor, so he left the service with dignity. Unfortunately, while on active duty, he lost his left leg. But he didn't let his disability make him feel less of a human, nor did he let it stop him from achieving his dreams. After his service, Franklin decided to venture into real estate, and this decision gave him the financial breakthrough he desperately yearned. For Franklin desired to live a life of comfort and luxury. He wanted to be wealthy so he could take care of the people who meant the world to him. And of course, his wife, Anne, topped the list and was a loving and caring and beautiful wife. That was until Franklin lost his leg. After the tragic incident, she suddenly became cold-hearted, and her feelings for him almost vanished in public. She would pretend to be caring and loving, but whenever they were alone, she would switch back to being hostile, and she wouldn't care about his feelings. Truth is, she lost the attraction she felt for Franklin the moment he lost his leg. Even after he got an artificial leg, it still didn't change the way she felt about him. He disgusts me. I just hate the sight of his crutches and the way he limps. How long do I have to put up with this? She would complain to her friends. They would advise her to keep enduring until she found a better option. While Anne soon ran out of patience and she secretly began to file for a divorce. But guess what? Franklin's real estate business suddenly took off. He sealed a multi-million-dollar real estate deal that changed their whole lives in a nanosecond. Seeing that Franklin was now wealthy and could no longer carry on with the divorce. Of course she hated his injury, but she was deeply in love with his money, and she decided to stay. She soon learned how to cope with him. She suddenly switched from being hostile and unfriendly to being caring, loving, and understanding. And poor Franklin, who was deeply in love with his wife, couldn't tell the difference. He didn't realize that she had fallen out of love with him and was just putting up with him. Maybe Anne was just a good actress, a smart one, at that while. As days went by, she realized that there were more and more things to put up with, like how Franklin would often need help around the house, or how she needed to run errands for him and even drive him around. All these she endured and did with a fake smile on her face. But when Franklin told her that he wanted to adopt the child, she stopped pretending and freaked out. "I already told you I don't want a child. I don't like children. Why would you do this?" She screamed at him angrily and cursed at his leg. Ignoring the foul words she said about his leg, Franklin said, "Sweetheart, I'm talking about my best friend's daughter, Clarissa. She's now an orphan. We need to take her in, you see?" Poor Clarissa, who was just 2 years old, lost her parents in an accident. And since Franklin didn't want Clarissa to be taken to an orphanage, he decided he would adopt her. After much persuasion, the duo gave in and started the adoption process, which was quite fast and smooth. Within a few days, they legally adopted the little girl. When Clarissa came home to the house, it was like everyone had been waiting for her. She brought some sunshine along. Franklin was so fond of her. She was a sweet girl and had a happy demeanor. However, whenever she went close to Anne, she was always met with a cold stare, seeing Anne's reaction. The little girl would cry and run to her caregiver or Franklin. "Don't worry, baby. Mom is just in an angry mood. You can play with her tomorrow, okay?" Franklin would often tell Clarissa. One of the reasons Anne resented Clarissa was because Franklin seemed to have transferred all the affection he had to her for Clarissa. She noticed that Franklin no longer begged for her attention like he used to, and even stopped buying her gifts. She became paranoid. Could it be that he had seen through her sham? Could it be that he had somehow figured that she no longer cared about him and was simply enduring the marriage? She became so paranoid that she even began thinking that Franklin was secretly filing for a divorce. She knew if they ever went their separate ways, she would be done for, so she decided to change her ways. She became more affectionate towards Clarissa, even in Franklin's absence. In this way, she was sure she would get Franklin's attention, and oh boy, this idea worked like a charm. Franklin was happy to see Anne warm up to Clarissa, and she started buying a lot of gifts again. When Clarissa turned 3, he went all out to throw her a birthday party. Clarissa was so happy Soon she started to call her mom just the way she called Franklin his dad. Franklin got Clarissa a special gift for her 3rd birthday. It was a doll with a camera. He didn't know that the doll had a camera until the shop attendant explained to him that the right eye of the doll had a camera. The shop attendant also offered to set up his phone so that he could view what the camera would capture on it. Clarissa could not contain her joy when she saw the doll. The doll became her companion. No one could separate her from her beloved doll. She practically did everything with the doll. Everything seemed to be perfect, until 3 months into Clarissa's 4th birthday. Franklin suddenly got a call at work that Clarissa had a sudden heart attack. Wasting no time, he rushed into his car and drove to the hospital, where she had been taken to. He was in shock when he got there. He met Anne and Clarissa's caregivers crying, and right there in Anne's arm was a clear, lifeless body of Clarissa. "It happened so fast. I don't know everything. Just happened so fast. Our baby is gone," said Clarissa in tears. She cried and said they needed to bury the little girl right away. Franklin, who wasn't thinking straight at that moment, agreed. So poor Clarissa was immediately buried with her doll. That night, Franklin could not sleep. Restless, he lay on the couch in the living room. Just then, he decided to view his daughter's last moments and see her one last time in the coffin. With trembling hands, he brought out his phone, but what he would see would shock him to the very core. Right there in the coffin, he saw Clarissa stroking her teddy bear as she struggled to get out, filled with fear. Franklin let out a piercing scream, startling Anne, who was fast asleep in the bedroom, and rushed out to find out what was wrong. But before she could get to the living room, Franklin had already taken his car keys and driven at a very high speed to the grave. Once there, he dug the grave, brought the coffin out, and threw the lid open. Clarissa only managed to say, "I knew you would come for me, Daddy. I was so scared inside there. It was so dark," before passing out. Franklin rushed his daughter to the hospital, where she was immediately stabilized. The next morning, Franklin went home with Clarissa, and Anne couldn't hide her shock when she saw Clarissa alive. She took her for a ghost, but when she recovered from the shock, she rushed towards the little girl and pretended to be happy. But before she could even touch her, Franklin pushed her away. "Your game is up. I can't believe I've been living with you. You're a devil and a pretender, you see?" Before Franklin saw the live video of Clarissa in the grave, he saw a clip where Anne gave Clarissa excess sleeping pills to swallow. Then a few minutes later, the little girl slumped and Anne started calling for help. When they got to the hospital, she was wrongly pronounced dead. Seeing that her secret was out, Anne started screaming. "I saw the documents to some of your property. These were all in Clarissa's name. How could you do that? I also got some properties in your name. Have you seen my will? You and Clarissa were named. You didn't have to harm the innocent child." Franklin shouted back just then. He said something and never thought she would ever hear for years. "I played dumb. I know you fell out of love for me a long time ago, just because I lost my leg. I really did believe you had some goodness left in you. I really loved you, but not anymore. We can no longer live as husband and wife. Please leave my house now," Franklin said. He brought out divorce papers from his bag. "I've had this divorce letter for years. I really prayed hard that I would never have to give them to you. Please leave at once or I will call the police and you will face the law." Filled with shame and deep regret, Anne walked out of the house. She knew her life was forever ruined, and the worst part of it all, it dawned on her that Franklin was irreplaceable, and she may never find another man like him. It's so sad how we don't know the value of someone until we lose them. What did you think of this story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like the video and subscribe. See you next time.